Hello everyone, today we will talk about training, coaching and mentoring. I guess almost all of us know what those means. We face these concepts in many areas such as courses we take, in internships we do, or in the workplace if there are any employees among us. Today we are going to look at these concepts from a slightly more technical perspective. The presentation agenda will be like this. I will examine the concepts one by one and talk about their common points and differences. Our first concept is coaching. What is coaching? Who is called coach? For example, let's think about the football teams we support and the coach of the team. We can define it as the person who manages the team, both guide and trains. So, who is the coach at the workplace? At its most precise definition, coaching is a personal learning and development intervention that creates a goal-oriented relationship to reach outcomes that coachee values. Coaching in the workplace is a personal one-to-one intervention that uses a collaborative, goal-focused relationship to achieve outcomes. A coachee, therefore, enters the relationship for the purpose of the intentionally and actively fulfilling personal objectives. Conceptually, this is a fundamentally different relationship than either a training or mentoring relationships. Let's continue with our next concept, training. The word training is a very broad word, isn't it? We can receive training or education at any age, in any fields. It is an endless concept. There is even a phrase we use in our daily life, I learned something new today. So what is training at workplace? Training is about transferring knowledge from trainer to trainee. So it naturally has a hierarchical element. The core of training is, I have a bunch of things I want you to get better at, and I'm going to teach you. In a professional or workplace setting, training is a typically structured, formal, often used in a group setting on a new hires, and is dependent on telling rather than asking. It is a place for learning and for people to try and practice new skills. But the timeline is ordinarily short, and therefore the benefits of training can also be short-lived. Let's consider an example right now. We can even think of ourselves in this sense, but let's proceed from a more general and common example. For example, let's think a person who deals with painting, a kind of painter. To get better, they sign for general training classes on weekends. Training programs like this are a great way to provide a vast amount of information in a short amount of time. However, the skills taught in training programs are usually not consistently reinforced. After a training session, individuals are left to utilize their new skills on their own time, and if that knowledge isn't put into practice immediately, that knowledge is usually lost. Research demonstrates that roughly 15% of the information received in a presentation is forgotten after 1 hour, while after 24 hours, on average, 70% is gone. And within a week, a staggering 19% is nowhere to be found. Therefore, training by itself might not be enough to change behavior or help individuals remember and retain knowledge they can apply in the real world. Let's continue with our last concept, mentoring. In fact, Özyeğin University attaches great importance to this concept. As we all know, there is a PA, peer advisor system. To put it simply, it can be said that the upper classes guide and help the newcomers on a volunteer basis. Apart from this, our school has a community called the Duyarlı. Here, many good works are done on a volunteer basis too. I mentored for about a year and a half in one of the projects within the Duyarlı. So, what is mentoring? Mentoring is a long-term relationship based on trust, respect, and a desire to gain wisdom that will hopefully lead the individual towards specific objectives. Mentoring, much like training, is assumed to be mentoring relationship is Mentoring, much like training, is a hierarchical relationship of knowledge. In a mentoring relationship, the mentor is assumed to be a highly experienced individual in the mentee's field. In the workplace, the mentor provides guidance or career advice to the assumingly inexperienced mentee. Mentors can also be coach-like or use coaching skills within the mentoring relationship, but knowledge is still being transferred and the relationship remains hierarchical. If we gather the common points and differences of these three concepts in a single table, it will be as you can see. These three concepts are generally close to each other. They are similar by definition. However, it is clear from the table that there is distinct differences between training and coaching. Someone may attend training and be taught or instructed on how to do a new skill or learn a new behavior. It is up to the learner to then go and apply the skill or behavior. Subsequently, a coach will be used by the learner to understand how to apply the skill better. The coach over several sessions will achieve this by exploring ideas, options, and opportunities that the learner identifies. Coaching isn't counseling. Coaches have a responsibility to direct their learners to appropriate internal or external expert support. The International Coaching Federation, ICF, defines the act of coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. While training and mentoring are about transferring knowledge from teacher to student or mentor to mentee, coaching is about enhancing, supporting, and facilitating the individual to step in and be actively engaged in their growth and knowledge. Coaching is not about telling people what to do, it is giving them an opportunity to examine what they are doing in light of their intentions. While mentoring and training are useful learning and development tools, coaching changes an individual's behavior. Movies that I like very much and related to our topic. If you haven't watched it yet, please watch it. And there's a video about coaching and mentoring. It's about 4 minutes. Let's watch.
Become a coach or a mentor. Now, these are both very, very, very different roles, although they can seem really similar. So I'd love to shed some light on the differences between them and when you would use each tool. So first of all, mentoring is about telling someone exactly what to do. Coaching fundamentally is about creating a space to allow the client to come up with their own answers. And there's a time to use both. So for example, purely mentoring is about finding someone who has the results that you want so they can give you the guidance on exactly what to do. For example, when I wanted to learn the skills of public speaking, I went out and I found a mentor, someone who had the results that I want, and then I listened to exactly what they've got to say. They say, do this, don't do that, move here, say this, and I'm thinking, fantastic. I now know exactly what to do. That's mentoring. So it's really getting advice from someone who has exactly the results that you want. That's mentoring. Can be applied to any area of life. Cooking, learning to drive a car, playing the piano, becoming a speaker, becoming a coach. Now, coaching is a bit different because coaching, first of all, comes from the fundamental foundational idea that the client has everything that they need within them already. Right? So they have the answers that they need, although they just don't know how to access them. And so the coach's role is to create a safe space for the client to be able to have their own awareness, their own understanding, their own unpacking. Where with mentoring, the person that's being mentored has no idea what the answer is and needs to be told by the mentor, hey, this is what I think you should do this and don't do that. When it comes to coaching, we don't actually give our clients personal advice. Now, a lot of people think that coaching is about giving people advice. Say, for example, you go see a relationship coach and they say, hey, well, what I did was this, and this is what I recommend you should do. That's not coaching. That's just giving people advice. Coaching is about understanding human behavior, which is understanding the codes and the patterns of our mind and the world of our emotions. Both of those things impact massively our own self-esteem, our ability to communicate with ourselves, and our ability to have long-lasting relationships with others, personally and in business. So it applies to so many areas of life. Coaching is four powerful things. Number one is it's creating a space to listen to your client. It still amazes me how many people have never truly felt listened to. We all have a need to belong, and that comes from feeling like we're heard and we're understood. The second part of coaching is about validation. You know, a lot of people live in what's called a validation vacuum. They never hear encouragement, or they never hear validation to hear the words, you're okay, you're doing great. Well, gee, that sounds like it would have been a real struggle for you. Now, the third part of coaching is the power of asking questions. This is probably the most important part, to be able to allow the client to come up with their own answers, to ask clarifying questions, to ask really deep questions that get a phenomenal answer. It's been said that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves or that are asked of us. The fourth part of coaching is about teaching. And sometimes when we're with our client, we want to educate them on how to actually access something within themselves. For example, this is how you feel an emotion, or this is how you set a boundary in your life, or this is how you clear your mind, for example. So I trust that's a great example of the difference between mentoring and coaching. They're both phenomenal tools. A lot of people become a coach and a mentor, and some people will decide on one or the other based on their preferences and based on what suits them. Now, if this has resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, and you'd love to find out more, I'd love to invite you along to a live global broadcast of the phone. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's over 2 days. It's absolutely a gift. And if you want to find out more, you can click the link below, head over to the other page. Trust I will see you on the other side.
Let's continue.
Should I become a coach or a mentor?
Yes. Thank you. Have a nice day.